Story 1. Thanksgiving wasn't about gratitude, it was about revenge. So, Jake and I had been married for 6 years. And I thought things were fine. But 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I found out he'd been screwing Megan, his co-worker. A wannabe Instagram model with the personality of soggy bread. How did I find out? She left her lipstick in his jacket pocket. When I asked about it, Jake stammered something about a group Halloween party. I did my homework, dug through his phone when he fell asleep early, and bingo. Texts, photos, even videos. Not only was he cheating, but he had been bragging about it to his friends. Stuff like, "She's hotter than Sarah," and "Finally found someone who doesn't nag me." Oh, but it gets worse. He invited her to our Thanksgiving dinner because she doesn't have family nearby. Instead of kicking him out right then, I smiled, kissed his lying face, and said, "Of course, babe. The more, the merrier." Thanksgiving was my Super Bowl now, and I was going all out. I prepped every dish with care, but I had a few secret ingredients to add some spice. Megan was all smiles when she showed up with her dollar store wine, acting like she wasn't sleeping with my husband. I played nice, complimented her dress, which screamed, "clearance rack," and made sure she got a front row seat to the drama. When everyone sat down for dinner, I kicked things off with a toast. I just want to say how thankful I am for family, for friends, and for clarity. You see, I've recently learned so much about myself and the people I thought I could trust. Jake, Megan. I locked eyes with them. This is really your moment. Cue the awkward silence. Then, I pulled out my laptop connected to the TV. Oh yes, I made a PowerPoint with screenshots of their texts, photos of them sneaking around, and a particularly spicy video of Megan doing, well, let's just say something that made Jake's mom scream. "Oh my God." Quote, "The table exploded. Jake was yelling. Megan was crying. His parents were mortified. And my mom just sat there sipping her wine like she was watching her favorite soap opera." But I wasn't done. "Oh, and Megan," I said, cutting through the chaos, "I wanted to make sure you felt special today. So, I made you something." I went to the kitchen and came back with a casserole dish. Everyone watched as I dramatically removed the foil, revealing a pile of raw turkey guts, the kind they pull out before selling. I call this homewrecker surprise. Enjoy. Quote, "Then I dumped the entire dish onto Megan's lap. The sound she made was somewhere between a shriek and a gag. She bolted from the table covered in blood and slime. Jake tried to follow her, but I stopped him. "Oh, you're not going anywhere. You see, I packed your stuff. It's in the garage. Also, I called your boss and let him know what a great team player you are. Don't worry, he'll be reviewing those videos personally." His face went pale. He didn't even try to argue. Just slunk out like the pathetic loser he is. His mom started crying. His dad apologized to me. And my mom raised her glass and said, "Best Thanksgiving ever." Story 2. The bucket woman was actually the sprinkler's second victim. The first was Max, short for Gluteus maximus, the neighbor's cat who has his morning pee on my rosemary plant. Max strolled across the sensor and Robo Sprinkler 2 activated. He got the shock of his life when that morning the garden peed back. He ran back to his own yard like he'd been fired out of a cat cannon. Robo Sprinkler 1 fired on the bucket woman on Tuesday afternoon. Martin was WFH, but at the back of the house, and only knew something happened when the fluffy couch potato cat let out an unearthly howl and tried to hide between Martin and the chair he was sitting on. He got to the front room just in time to see the bucket woman disappearing behind the fence. So he went to check the security footage. I got a text asking if I wanted the good news or the bad news first. I was having a crap day, so I opted for the good news. I got 2 words back. Got her. Quote. Then I asked for the bad news, and he texted, sorry about your rosemary. Oh. I only have 2 plants in the front garden that I really care about. And that rosemary is one of them. It's flowered nearly all winter. And I like watching the bees. When I got home, there was a group of people outside our house. I started to worry, thinking something terrible had happened. But I realized they were sprinkler devotees. And in the middle was my partner, performing the dance of his people. This account has been pieced together from looking at track marks and observing the triumphant dance of the sprinkler people. It seems that the bucket woman entered through the gate and headed towards the bedroom window, crossing Robo Sprinkler 1's sensor. Robo Sprinkler 1 fired on the intruder and scored a direct hit before starting on its arc. The bucket woman was startled and ran back towards the gate. But Robo Sprinkler had started its return and hit her a second time. She was startled again, denoted by some high leaps and exaggerated shrieking in the dance. Changed direction, ran past the gate and body slammed my poor defenseless plant, before finding the gate and running back next door. The triumphant dance makes no mention of bees. But I picture a bunch of worker bees turning up to work at the rosemary plant following day and going, bloody hell, what happened here? Quote. The interesting thing is that the robo sprinklers seem to have had a deterrent effect. This happened on Tuesday. Today is Monday. And she hasn't visited since. We see her on the cameras pacing up and down out the front. But she's staying out of our garden and away from the windows. Martin came down with man flu on Wednesday. And a close family friend died on Thursday. So this has been a welcome respite. Nor have we been visited by authorities. Following up allegations I am keeping unlicensed bees or that my fluffy couch potato is really the hound of the Baskervilles. It's as if a couple of squirts of cold water have shocked some reality into her. Although to be fair, I don't know how long it takes the Department of Ag to follow up reports of unlicensed apiary. And I'm not even sure which agency regulates hounds of the Baskervilles. That may be still to come. Story 3. A guy was harassing a girl in college. He was stalking her, actively trying to isolate her. Real predator stuff. They had the same advisor, so they had to work closely together. This is about the time I met them. A friend of a friend's. They came to a party at my home. This was the first time I saw him aggress her. I intervened on this occasion and found out this had been going on for some time. Not only that, but also the professor was knowingly allowing this behavior to go on. We convinced her to file harassment charges at the university against the other student and the professor. The hearing comes and goes. They are found guilty. The professor lost his status but not fired. The student, who had been attending for his master's degree but not finished, was kicked out of school and will not be allowed back into the school until he is able to write in acceptable apology and "How I've improved myself" letter to the school. Additionally, if he tries to go to another school for his master's, a letter will be sent to the new school along with the transcript explaining what happened. So not only does he not get to graduate there, also not anywhere. My revenge. During this process, which took many months, I learned the professor was working on a TV special. Had the creepo as his production assistant. Go figure. And had one angel donor giving him a large amount of grant money. So I reached out to the donor. and the TV station letting them know about Professor Ashat and what he and his student were up to. TV special cancelled. Money gone. Student banned from working with anything school related. They took her safety. We took their legacy. Bad predator. Bad. Story 4. I remember a time in 8th grade that I'm still proud of to this day. So there was this boy who, for some reason, hated me. I will admit. I was annoying, but I had never interacted with this kid until one day in what was somewhat of a creative engineering class in 6th grade. He started a conversation with me because I was humming and distracting him. Accidentally, by the way, and he started annoying me back and arguing with me. After an hour and 50 minutes of back and forth fighting, the class ends. So, as we are putting our chairs up, he steals my pencil. I started chasing him around the room to get it back when he suddenly shouted, claiming that I was R-wording him. WTF. I told the teacher, of course, and he gave the kid a warning. He did it again. Literally 20 seconds after the warning, the teacher told him off. It was non-stop harassment from this guy. For the rest of my middle school life, he was calling me slurs, pulling his pants down in class, throwing markers at me. And I would tell the teacher every time, but nothing was done about it other than giving him warnings and detention. And I think he was suspended a few times. 2. I was extremely bitter because I was somewhat of a people pleaser. So I really wanted to know why he didn't like me. One day, we were in math class chilling and he walked up to me and started insulting me. I insulted him back. It continued for like 5 minutes until I said something along the lines of, I swear, I'm going to hit you. If you don't stop, I'm going to actually punch you. This MF had the audacity to say, I dare you. So, I punched him right in his face. It wasn't the hardest or most painful punch in the world. But I was in middle school. Anyway, his friends held him back from hurting me as I sat back down and put my headphones in to listen to music. My heart was pounding so hard. I was actually really scared. Also, the teacher wasn't there because she had to go somewhere. And it was the end of the day. So yeah. Anyways, he told the teacher. I proudly confessed. And I got detention for 3 days, but only during my math class period. I spent those days relaxing in the front office and cheating on a test I had to take. The office ladies did not care since I was known as a really good kid who did not ever want trouble. By now, the vice principal was fed up with the boys' shenanigans. One day, when I was sat across him and my ex-boyfriend, who previously threw a whiteboard at my head, cursed classrooms for not having cameras in them in middle school, just working on a worksheet in science. We would occasionally exchange sarcastic comments and insults quietly. However, after I was done insulting him calmly, he decided to turn to my ex, lean in closer to him, and proceed to tell him that I R-worded him. I heard this and looked him dead in the eyes and glared. I shouted at him, telling him that I couldn't believe he was bringing back something that happened 2 years ago that wasn't even true. He smugly replied that I had no proof, that it was a lie. Furious, I stood up, walked over to where the teacher was helping a student, tapped her shoulder, and whispered what happened in her ear. When I say that this woman turned red with anger, I mean it. That teacher was enraged. Plus, the girl she was helping heard and looked at me in utter shock. I just shook my head at her. The teacher called the bully into the hall as my ex just kind of had a blank expression. I have no clue what was going on in his mind. Next thing I knew, the classroom door opened, and there stood the vice principal. I nearly wet my pants with the look she had on her face. The teacher asked me to step into the hall and then stayed in the classroom to continue to teach. Once the door was shut and I was in the hall, the vice principal started asking me questions and screaming at the bully for his behavior. She recited his warnings and asked me if she missed anything. So I filled her in on all this kid had put me through for 3 whole years. It's safe to say that I was not punished. The kid was almost unfazed about the whole predicament. And I never saw him again because he was set to strictly online learning since it was too late in the school year to expel him. He also had to attend summer school. And I heard later that he didn't show up. So he had to retake the whole 8th grade. My parents cheered when they heard because they were there to witness all of the meltdowns that kid caused me to have. Doesn't take away the trauma, but it does still make me smile to this day. Sometimes revenge is truly the best outcome. Please like, share and subscribe for more.